You know, for some sports teams, it's not over till we lose. Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you are enjoying this season of the NFL. I have been enjoying it. I think 2020 has been it's been a crazy year. It's really, what can you do? How can you describe this year? But the NFL is back. I am happy to see that there are people in the stands at some of the games, and I am a long-suffering Detroit Lions fan, which is why I completely relate to this documentary, maybe next year, directed by the guy with the coolest name of any documentarian I've ever met, Kyle Thrash. Kyle, welcome to the Film Threat Podcast, man. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
This movie, first of all, I relate to it. I mentioned earlier, I'm a fan of the Detroit Lions, and we kind of have a saying with the Detroit Lions, it's not over till we lose, because the Lions will be up by, they'll be up by 21 points, right?
Right.
3 scores, and I keep thinking to myself, how are we going to lose this one? How are we going to lose this game? And it happens. But you must be a Philadelphia Eagles fan, because this documentary covers super fans of the Philadelphia Eagles and their magical year. You need to see this movie to believe it. It tracks the year that they went to the Super Bowl, and it follows some of the most hardcore fans of all types. And I just thought it's an inspiration. It's funny. It's inspiring. It's the documentary we need now. Tell me how you found these Philly fans.
Yeah, so I grew up, outside Philadelphia in the Lehigh Valley, which is about an hour outside Philly. But both my parents grew up in the suburbs around Philly. I grew up big Philadelphia sports fans. My mom actually had the Philadelphia Phillies baseball game on in the delivery room when I was being born. So, I mean, it kind of runs really deep with my family. And when I was looking for a project, I kind of thought back, to all these amazing characters that I've seen over the years. And when I started going to the tailgates, I just started, finding these great characters. And I kind of sifted through who I thought would be best to represent different sides of fandom. And I found these 4 characters.
I mean, it's really remarkable. The guy who he effectively built his own sports bar in the back, like in a barn or something. Like, I was blown away with, the seating is all Philadelphia Eagles. It's all he spent considerable sum of money to put that together. You got to spend time watching games in that space. What was it like?
I mean, it's wild. I mean, yeah. So his name's Barry the Hatchet Bagoni. He's 72 years old, and he built what Budweiser considers the best man cave in America. So it's this gigantic, it has so many TVs, and it's this 150-foot bar. So, and he has over 100 of local people in the area just come over to what he calls the locker room to watch these games. But I mean, it just shows the dedication and really the kind of obsession that sports can kind of, can be for people, where they kind of, his whole identity is kind of wrapped up in Eagles fandom, to the point where he buys everything. He's always on eBay. He's always, trying to find the next thing that has an Eagles logo on it, to kind of build this shrine to this Eagles, to the Eagles. And then he has all these people come over to kind of celebrate in that insane fandom.
Also, Barry the Hatchet he dresses up also. I mean, he gets super into it.
He wears shoulder pads, he wears, he'll put on a helmet, he makes his own hat that has a flying bird circulating, and he does, he leads everyone in the Eagles chant. So yeah, he's a full-blown character.
Well, first of all, I feel like you really got lucky in the sense that you follow these fans on this year that was just, it was a year filled with tragedy, and it was also a magical year. Do you have to kind of pinch yourself a little bit just to think like, because a lot of it is, you're casting your subjects, right? You chose these 4 people to follow around, but I don't think that you could have, obviously there was no way you could have predicted how dramatic that year was. Tell me what it was like to try to orchestrate, because clearly in order to capture all your characters watching the games, you'd have multiple documentary film crews running at the same time. So tell me about those logistics, and then just a little about just, I guess, the sheer luck that comes with, like, you found your subjects and it also ended up being the most amazing possible year you could have followed them.
Yeah, it was pure luck. I was kind of, like I said, it started out as a character study to kind of like understand where that passion comes from for fans. And I knew the team was, it started with me just going early on in the season to a game and being like, this feels like this would be a great short documentary. And then as the team kept winning, I felt like, maybe there's something larger here. So we started filming, and then when Carson, the quarterback, Carson Wentz, goes down, we're like, we don't know what's going to happen with the season, and we're capturing how people are kind of dealing with, those feelings. But then it ends up being the most magical year ever. So by the time the Super Bowl comes, I have 16 different people around Philadelphia, eight camera crews just filming with different characters, filming in different bars, trying to just capture the energy of what was one of the most memorable nights in Philadelphia sports history ever.
What can you explain? Because I am a sports fan. I have my teams. They're mostly Detroit-based teams, so I do okay, and then I don't do okay, depending on the sport. But what is it, and how can you explain to a non-sports fan? I try to explain to my friends that go to like Comic-Cons, like, why I like sports, the sense of camaraderie, the tailgating, right? Like that sort of like spirit, and how it kind of can lift the positivity of a city where you're having conversations with strangers, people you never met, but you're bonded because one's wearing a jersey or one's got a t-shirt, or you just kind of have that, like that. How do you explain that feeling to someone who's not a sports fan? I've tried to explain this to my friends who deride sports, and why it's fun and why it can like uplift and create a bond between strangers.
Yeah, I think we as people are, we're tribal people. I think people find their tribe, whatever it is, whether it's music or sports or film or, or just, some community-based thing. I think we want to gather, and we want to, be together and share in something that feels communal. And sports gives you that opportunity to believe in something larger than yourself, connect with people that may have differences than you, and you can put those differences aside and cheer for something larger than yourself. I think it can kind of create, an identity for some people, and it kind of makes you feel like you're a part of something. And I think that, that can lead to, a lot of great events, and a lot of people having, some of the most memorable, games and events, because you're all there together. And you see it with family too. Sports, you get passed on through families, like family heirlooms. It's like a lot of the times it's, some people don't even talk to their families, but on Sunday they're texting about the games, and they're connecting about sports. So I think it gives us this one common denominator to kind of focus on, to kind of bring us together as people.
I completely agree with you. I also feel it's a way for, my theory is that men in general are not particularly great, or not known for expressing their feelings. But right. I do know that the conversation I could always have with my dad was, after every Detroit Lions game, we'd be on the phone, we'd be texting during the game, be on the phone after, and just like, how did we lose this? How do we bungle this? Are we gonna win a game this season at all? Like it's a way to bond. I really feel, especially for men that aren't necessarily as well equipped to deal with their emotions. So that's why I feel like partly why I think sports has been a big part of my life. question: did the NFL have any? I know that NFL, there's always that like sort of disclaimer, any commentary about the game. Like, I'm curious if the NFL, and I've been a big fan of NFL films, Steve Sable, and that group, the way that they I really feel that NFL films popularized the sport of football by the way that they filmed football, the way that, if you look at like Barry Sanders in like slow motion, it's like a ballet. It's unbelievable to even see like a human can do that with their body. So did you have any interactions with the NFL? Are they aware of the film? Did they talk to me about that just as a documentary filmmaker?
Yeah. So it started out pretty independent, with us kind of, filming ourselves. But by the time we got through the edit, we had, contacted them and they've, since signed off on the movie and have shown a lot of support for the movie. But yeah, I'm with you. Their NFL Films has this amazing catalog of 16 millimeter film for like all of these games, which is just like mind blowing to think that like they have all of these games on 16, on 35, that like they have so much beautiful footage that I feel like they're gonna continue to be able to tap into that, for decades when they continue to make projects. So they were able to help us at the end and kind of grant their blessing with the film. But the way that they've kind of created the culture, I think definitely comes also from how they shot it and also how that they've cataloged their games. I think a lot of that was, a lot of that plays into the part for how big the NFL has gotten.
Well, you probably already know this, but the NFL channel on YouTube has full games, and not just Super Bowls, but like, important playoff games and regular season games. They're archived on YouTube. And this is how to nerd I am. I used to buy old Super Bowls on VHS off of eBay with the commercials, like Super Bowl III, it's like crazy when you watch those, like with the commercials, which really show like how evolved the modern day presentation of the game is with like computer graphics. It's insane how they've done that. Like it's mind boggling how they've documented the sport, unlike any other. You can't compare it to like MLB and NBA and whatnot. I feel like they should just offer you a job.
I'd be happy to take that call for sure.
Well, it's such an inspiring doc. It's like whether you're a Philly fan or not, and I will say I have rooted for Philly because they're NFC and the Detroit Lions. I'm always like, whatever NFC team is there or whatever team is playing against Tom Brady, I want that team to win.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like so many sports, right? We're just united by like, I can't stand Tom Brady. I just want him to I respect him, but I want to see him lose.
Yeah, so, you're either united in your you're cheering for one team or united in your hatred for one player or one organization. Yeah. Yeah. We also got lucky with the film with going against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. It was something where, we could have easily faced, another AFC team. I think the Titans were close. There were a couple of teams there that could have made it, but the fact that we were able to go against Tom Brady, and we have the history there with the 2005 Super Bowl where Donovan McNabb went against him and he threw up before the game, and it was like he just we weren't able to fully go through with winning. So I think it was that was an extra cherry on top to go to face the best quarterback to ever do it, the best coach to ever do it, and have that revenge. Even to this season, I don't know if you've seen some of the press, like Nick Foles and Tom Brady haven't been shaking. They didn't shake hands after that Chicago game. People have been like, well, yesterday he shook Derek Carr's hand. So he keeps shaking all these quarterbacks' hands after the games. But when he played the Bears, he wouldn't shake Nick Foles' hand, and a lot of people attribute that to the Eagles season when he beat them, because he didn't shake hands after that game either. So I don't know if there's some beef there. I don't want to add to anything, but it was definitely good that we got to face Tom Brady and beat them as Eagles fans.
I'm curious how both the fans that you followed in your documentary and other fans, how they've reacted to the doc now that it's out there for people to see.
I mean, both the four fans were just so happy. Obviously, the one character, Jesse, his father is a big is a factor in the movie, and he's has since passed on. So for him to be able to have this this film to kind of immortalize him in kind of what we were just talking about, be about that legacy between them. That was such a common bond between them. So for him to have this film, I know he's shared some really meaningful messages with me about what the film means to him. So I'm proud to, if nothing less, just to be able to give that to him and his family, to always have something.
Well, whether you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, NFL fan, this is a great documentary. Congratulations. It's now available on iTunes, all the video on demand formats. Do not miss this film. It's something really special, even for a non-sports fan. I always admire people that are passionate, and there's no shortage of passion in your doc. Kyle, thank you so much for being on the Film Threat podcast.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Cool. And thank you to our sponsor, Storyblocks. Go to storyblocks.com/filmthread. All right, let's, watching your doc just makes me want to watch more NFL games.
We got the season. This is, I'm glad the film's getting put out right in the middle. Hopefully a lot of people will be able to watch the doc before a game, and hopefully whatever team they cheer for, hopefully it's the Eagles, that, will at least make the playoffs this year. That's the goal.
Well, I'll say go NFC, and until the Lions are out of it, which is, more than likely the case.
They had a good game yesterday. Win's a win,
Well, that's true. I'll take what we can get. We usually end up 8-8, so that's, what can I say?
Yeah.
Take the time.
Okay, thanks so much.